Severe thunderstorms are coming to the United States over the next few days, and they will produce damaging winds, large to very large hail, and tornadoes, in addition to localized flash flooding that we need to be aware of over the next few days as well. And we're going to look at a dangerous heat wave that brings record-breaking heat, especially for the desert Southwest and the southern United States over the next few days, and your tropical weather update at the end of this video. If you are here on this evening update, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We do daily weather forecast breakdowns, accurate, reliable weather information daily on this channel. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend, family member, and on social media. We have an enhanced risk upgrade for South Dakota and northern Nebraska. This is a 3 out of 5 on the risk scale where numerous severe thunderstorms are likely this evening going into the overnight hours. Surrounding that in yellow is a slight risk where scattered severe thunderstorms are possible, and that includes the Omaha metropolitan area and Lincoln, all the way up there into North Dakota as well. We have a slight risk over into southern Montana and a slight risk into the Carolinas, stretching all the way up into southern New Jersey. And then in the dark green, that's where a marginal risk of severe weather is in place, where isolated severe thunderstorms are possible. The main threat is going to be driven by that enhanced risk over here in South Dakota. That's where we could be seeing wind gusts up to 80 miles per hour with the most strong thunderstorms over here, including the Rapid City area and Pierre as we go through the evening and overnight hours, followed by the threat for destructive hail. Now, the hail threat could be up to tennis ball size in the western and central Dakotas, including Rapid City as we go through the evening and into the overnight, and a low but non-zero tornado risk in the green and across the central Dakotas, again, including Rapid City and Pierre. We could be talking a low-end threat for tornadoes, 2%, okay? This is within a 25-mile radius of any given point in or around this area. Now, here at 6 o'clock this evening, there's a lot of instability, a lot of storm energy, over 5,000 joules per kilogram, across the eastern Dakotas, stretching into the eastern portions of Nebraska. And at 6 o'clock here, we are already beginning to see the opening stages of these thunderstorm clusters across western South Dakota and into western Nebraska, including parts of the Nebraska Panhandle. These storms are already capable of producing 60 to 70 mile per hour winds and some quarter-size hail, along with an isolated brief tornado threat. As we go over the next couple of hours, these will cluster up and intensify as they push eastward through southern North Dakota, through central South Dakota, and into central Nebraska, with the wind gust threat potentially exceeding hurricane force, up to 80 miles per hour, tennis ball size hail with these, and the potential for an isolated tornado. As these continue to cluster up overnight, this will also bring some locally heavy downpours, which could cause localized flash flooding. And that goes to the midnight hour and approaching areas like Lincoln, over here into Sioux Falls and Omaha, and that will push toward Des Moines by the opening stages of your day on Thursday. So you might need an umbrella as you head out the door in Des Moines or Ames, Iowa for your Thursday morning commute. Like we mentioned, sporadic heavy downpours. Not everybody will see these, but we could be seeing potentially an area that could see up to 2 inches of rainfall. Otherwise, not seeing much rainfall out of these, especially if you don't get a storm. Now, we are looking here at the eastern U.S. as well for severe weather this evening and overnight. Right now, we have around 4,000 joules per kilogram of your instability. This is your storm energy across Maryland, Delaware, southern Jersey, all the way down into Virginia and the Carolinas. And you can see a nice cluster of showers and even some embedded thunderstorms here at 6 o'clock across portions of Maryland, down into Virginia, including the Washington, D.C. area, Roanoke and Richmond, stretching down here into the western Carolinas, yet to move through Raleigh and Columbia. But as we go through the rest of the evening hours, we're going to see these clusters pushing from west to east across the mid-Atlantic states into the southeast. They will bring the threat for some torrential downpours, and that will continue into your Thursday morning commute. It looks like the heaviest of the rains will be moving up there toward Boston, Hartford, Providence, and even Concord, New Hampshire as we go into the morning hours there on Thursday. Not before giving us some very heavy rainfall across the mid-Atlantic. Could be seeing some spots over 2, maybe even 3 inches. That could cause some localized runoff of water on the roadways, low-lying farm fields, for example, ditches, creeks, streams may rise as well very quickly with this rainfall as we go through the next 12 hours or so. Going into Thursday, tomorrow on July 10th, we have another slight risk where scattered severe thunderstorms are possible across the Central Plains, also back over here to the Carolinas. Notice the dark green surrounding that from the northeast down into the mid-Atlantic again, and then up across the northern plains and upper Midwest. That's where we have isolated severe thunderstorms possible in dark green. And then as we go into Friday, that shifts just a little bit further off to the east, slight risk from central and eastern Kansas, northern Missouri, and into eastern Iowa. This could expand and get upgraded a little bit further as we go a little bit closer to Friday, July 11th. And of course, areas surrounding that in dark green from the upper Midwest and Great Lakes all the way back to the southern plains, and then across the mid-Atlantic northeast have isolated severe thunderstorms possible on Friday. Let's start here across the central United States view. You can see Thursday morning remnant thunderstorm activity there for the Des Moines, Ames, Iowa area, Waterloo. We could be seeing a couple rumbles of thunder. This should be on a weakening trend. And then once we get to Thursday afternoon, watching a nice cluster of some severe weather starting to bubble up there across the central plains, like Nebraska, Kansas, down there into the Oklahoma, Texas panhandle, and western Iowa. This could pose a risk mainly for damaging winds and hail, but there could be a couple of tornadoes along with some locally torrential downpours. And then we're going to see a boundary setting up overnight Thursday and into Friday where flash flooding could be enhanced across the Des Moines metropolitan area, Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, stretching over to Rockford, Illinois, and perhaps Chicago. By the way, Chicago saw a lot of rainfall here just 24 to 48 hours ago with some flash flood rescues that were ongoing there with 4 to 6 inches of rain. We could be seeing more of that into your Friday morning. And then once we go into Friday, more severe weather will spark maybe just a little bit further east. We're watching the Hawkeye state of Iowa. So Des Moines again, down here toward Kansas City could get pretty rough there, especially Friday afternoon and evening with some damaging winds, large hail, and a few tornadoes. That will shift toward the Mississippi River of eastern Iowa and northwestern Illinois on a weakening trend overnight Friday and into Saturday. Also a cluster of some severe weather perhaps down here into the Front Range and the southwestern plains. Colorado, Oklahoma, Texas panhandle, western Kansas, keeping an eye on that for Friday overnight and into Saturday. Locally heavy rainfall is going to be susceptible down here as well. Here's the rainfall threat just for the thunderstorms tomorrow. This is from Thursday into Friday morning. Notice that boundary laying out across eastern Nebraska, Iowa, into northwestern Illinois. Could be dumping a few inches of rain there and some localized flash flooding for the Des Moines metropolitan area, Cedar Rapids, into Iowa City and Rockford may be warranted across that region. And then as we go from Friday into Saturday morning, a similar zone, but even upping the ante on the rainfall totals, especially for the Hawkeye state of Iowa. Again, the Des Moines metropolitan area in the crosshairs, Waterloo, Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, and then stretching up there toward Madison, Wisconsin, and then back toward Kansas City. Be keeping a very close eye on that. Across the eastern United States on Thursday morning, pretty quiet. In the afternoon, we got some sporadic clusters of showers and storms, most focused down there into the Carolinas and Virginia again. Isolated severe weather, perhaps all the way up into Pennsylvania, New York State, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts at times. And then as we go into Thursday night, we lose the daytime heating, we lose the storm energy, so those storms will fall off in coverage and intensity. And then once we go into Friday, we'll do it all over again on a sporadic basis. Again, the highest coverage on Friday looks to be more into Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina, the low country down there. And then as we go into Saturday morning, we see those storms washing out. But we are looking here Thursday into Friday morning. Heaviest rains focused across eastern Georgia, the Carolinas, and southeastern Virginia, then up there toward the Maryland coast. Could be seeing a couple areas over 3 inches of rainfall just between Thursday into Friday morning. And then more sporadic downpours across the southeast, especially for Alabama, Georgia, into the low country of South Carolina. Seeing a couple areas perhaps over 2 inches of rain with those sporadic heavy thunderstorms from Friday into Saturday morning. Now let's look here at our flow in the jet stream as we go through the upcoming weekend. This is Saturday, July 12th. Going into Sunday, July 13th, got a disturbance moving through portions near the Hudson Bay. That will keep the main branch of our jet stream further north. A bigger disturbance is looming for the middle of next week. This could bring a powerful cold front into the northern plains and the upper Midwest and actually bring lower humidity to southern Canada and eventually the northern U.S. by later next week. And it's going to have a lot of storm energy with it building into the middle of next week, perhaps potentially by Tuesday, July 15th. Could be watching for a more significant brand of severe weather for the Midwest. So here on Saturday, July 12th, we are looking at the potential for isolated, perhaps scattered severe weather from the southern plains all the way up into the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes region. Once we get to Sunday, that severe weather threat shifts more to the Ohio Valley and Northeast with isolated severe storms. These are going to be mainly for damaging winds, hail, and a low tornado risk. Once we get to Monday early next week, quieting down outside of some embedded thunderstorms in the Northeast, I don't expect much of a severe weather risk on Monday. And then as we go into Tuesday, it looks like as the front moves through, could be bringing more sporadic severe weather threats, potentially a more significant round of severe weather depending on all the ingredients coming together, moisture, instability, wind shear across the Midwest into the Central Plains. And then once we get into Wednesday, the middle of next week, more sporadic severe weather from the Four Corners region and Southern Plains into the Southeast and up into the Eastern Ohio Valley. But again, that is several days out. We'll keep you updated. Looking at our temperatures, today we saw record highs in Phoenix up to 116, 100-degree heat all the way up into portions of Montana, western Dakotas today into the Front Range in eastern Colorado. As we go into tomorrow, we're going to see 113, just a smidge cooler there in Phoenix, still very hot, 109 in Vegas, 116 down there towards San Diego. Going to be very hot, record heat continues. Make sure to hydrate if you venture outdoors at any point tomorrow, especially even if you're working outdoors. Make sure to find frequent breaks in the shade and air conditioning. And then looking here across the Northeast, we're going to be in the 70s and 80s with somewhat lower humidity. Friday, a stronger front comes through that could bring us lower humidity and 70s to the north, 80s and 90s out ahead of the main cold front. And then that will bring some wonderful temperatures on Saturday to the upper Midwest. Areas like Minneapolis, St. Paul, Des Moines, La Crosse, over there toward Green Bay and Milwaukee. Going to be in the upper 70s to low 80s with lower humidity on Saturday. Warming up a smidge on Sunday and then early next week as well, before another cold front, this time a more powerful cold front coming through, scouring out our temperatures a little bit into the 70s again for the north, and the humidity going to take a big hit on Tuesday and Wednesday next week as we have a powerful front coming through. That's what could bring some severe weather. Now, overnight lows going into your Thursday morning tomorrow are going to be very unsettling down here into the desert Southwest on Phoenix especially. 91 is your low, so that's all we're going to be able to fall down to in Phoenix. Overnight, 60s and 70s across the central and eastern U.S. over the next couple of nights. Cool front could bring us into the 50s there on Saturday morning and Sunday morning at times with lower humidity. And then here comes the warmer nights again ahead of another cold front early next week with more of those 60s and 70s from the Midwest into the Ohio Valley and down into the Southeast. And looking here at your fire weather risk over the rest of the today, we have critical fire weather concerns in eastern portions of Nevada, western Utah, and orange. That's an elevated fire weather concern. Also up there into eastern Washington state as well. In the brown, dry thunderstorm risk remains across eastern and southeastern Oregon and southwestern Idaho, where a lightning could spark new fires. And then once we go into tomorrow on Thursday, July 10th, elevated fire weather concerns across the Four Corners region of Utah, western Colorado, northern Arizona, and northwestern New Mexico. Be keeping a very close eye on that. Finally, your tropical weather update. The National Hurricane Center is not expecting any tropical cyclone activity over the next week, which is the next 7 days. Anywhere in the Atlantic Basin, this does include the Caribbean and the Gulf, and in the East Pacific Ocean, very quiet as well, with what has been a very active start to the hurricane season in the East Pacific Basin, quieting down over the next 7 days, not expecting any tropical cyclone activity, which is certainly some great news. If you do enjoy my forecast, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel for the most accurate, reliable weather information here on YouTube daily on this channel. Like the video, like I mentioned, share this video with friends, family, and on social media. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, jot that down in the comment section down below this video. We are here 24/7, all day, all night, to answer any and all questions that you may have. Thanks everybody for watching. Thank you for all your support, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Wednesday out there.